Okay, sorry, I had to free up some memory from my phone. So we're gonna add or subtract to give me 10. Now, everything's positive. So it's just gonna be two positive numbers that give me 10 when I add them. So 1 and 24 give me 25. 2 and 12 are interesting because if one of them was negative, then this could work, but since they're all positive because all the terms up here are positive, then that's not gonna work. 3 and 8 are 11, so it's 4 and 6. So my answer in factored form, these are gonna be always x and x, always plus and plus because, well, for this problem, because everything was positive, and then we have 4 and 6. If I want to double check, I'll double check in the next one, but this one would be, but I double check to make sure that if I FOIL or if I use my generic rectangle, I get this answer. Factored form. This is a big deal, guys. It's a big deal to be able to do this. Okay, another one. So I have to deal with the negative, but first, everything that multiplies to give me 21. So 1 and 21, and 3 and 7. That's it. I could say 4, 5, 6, 7, or 7 works, but 8 or 9. I could check those in terms of my calculator and dividing, but I'm good with my multiplication facts, so I know it's those two. Okay, and it's going to be adding or subtracting to give me a negative 10. So it's interesting because these are multiplying to give me these numbers. So when we multiply, two numbers have to be positive or they both have to be negative. If this was positive, then they would both be positive, like up here. Positive, positive. This is a negative, so they're both going to be negative. So my final answer will be x minus something times x minus something. And then if it's 10, that's going to give me 20 or 21 if I add or subtract. This will give me 10. 3 and 7 can add or subtract to make 10. Whoops, sorry. That's not right. Let's write it again. X minus 3, x minus 7. So this is my answer. And then I can check using a generic rectangle. So let's say I have this. So it'd be x and negative 3 and x and negative 7. So this is going back to last week, and I'm double checking. X squared, x times negative 3, x times negative 7, and negative 3 times a negative 7 is a positive 21. And I can combine my diagonal x's. So my final answer is x squared, a minus 7 minus 3 is a minus 10x, and that's a positive 21. Is that my original? Yes, I am happy. So here's my answer. Okay. This one, okay, multiply to give me 42. It's going to be a negative 42, but I'm not going to worry about that. So 42 will be 1 and 42. 2 and 21. 3, I don't know. Does 3 go into 42? 42 divided by 3. Oh yeah, 3 and 14. Oh, this is going to be a list. 4, let's check. No, because 40 is too close. 5 doesn't go in. 6 does. 6 and 7, my favorite multiplication fact. And so for above 6, let's see, 8 doesn't go and 9 doesn't go. So these are it. Okay. So then what is this number? So we don't see anything, but remember there's always a 1. So add or subtract to give me a 1. And it's really going to be a negative 1, but I'm not going to worry about those. Okay, if I add or subtract these, I get 41 or 43. If I add these, I get 23. If I subtract them, I get 19. Add them, 17, subtract them, 11, add them, 13, subtract them, I get some version of 1. Okay, so here's where it's fun. If this is, so this is negative, right? So if we have to multiply to give me a negative, one has to be a positive and one has to be a minus. And then I have to do -1. So let's say the 6 was negative. So negative 6x plus 7x. Well, the 7's bigger, so that's going to give me a positive 1x. That's not what I want. I want a negative number. All right, 6x minus a 7x. That's going to be a -1x or a negative x. So that's the one I want. So x and x, the 6 is a positive and the 7 is a negative. You can always check by foiling or using the generic rectangle. And if I see low scores on this exercise, I'm going to ask if you checked your work. One more kind of example. Again, it's factoring quadratic intro. So this one actually gives you one of the factors and you just have to find the other one. So I'm going to rewrite this. So I'm going to use scratch paper and I'm going to set it up like a generic rectangle. So I have an x and a -5. And so this is interesting. So, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say x minus 5 and x something gives me this answer. Okay. So I have to get a positive 10. So if I'm just focused on that, and I know that this term, this one and this one give me a positive 10, well, it's got to be a negative times a negative, and 5 times 2 is 10. So let's do inner outer and see if that works. The inside is -5x. The outside is a -2x. If I combine them, I get -7x, which is this middle term right here. So my other length, so we already are given x minus 5. X minus 2 is the other one. All right. So x plus 8 times another factor, starting with x, equals x squared minus x minus 72. So if you do x times some number, you want -72. Well, it's a -9. 8 times, why didn't I write it in a different, -9 is -72. So it's got to be -9. That's it. So my answer in this box up here is just x minus 9. Now you should be ready to do this exercise.